Hi, everyone on Zoom. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
All right, wonderful. Well, welcome all of you to our field inclusive meeting, our interest meeting today. So it's 7:30, so I'll go ahead and get started. So we are working with a projector, so you all won't be able to see us, but you will be able to hear us. So that's what we're working with this evening. For starters, just some introduction. So my name is Lauren Pharr. I use she, her pronouns, and I am one of the co-founders and the CFO of Field Inclusive, where we are a fairly new and young nonprofit working to amplify and support marginalized and historically excluded individuals who professionally work outdoors. So I, again, welcome you all on Zoom and everyone here in the room. So honestly, we can just go ahead and jump right into it. So just kind of like a overview of just how things are going to go this evening and the agenda here. So we're going to spend the first 30 minutes going over, so each of our field inclusive members are going to take turns going over various sections that's going to focus on various things. So first we'll start with an overview of minorities in the outdoors. Personal experiences that sparked an initiative, so that's field inclusive, and then we'll get more into field inclusive itself and talk about here our mission, our vision, and goals, and then we'll go into a little bit more of our programs, outreach, and support, and basically that's where you all come in, because this meeting is for you all, because we want to, for one, amplify all of the different programs and outreach that we are doing and open that up to volunteers and people like you who would love to join in on the fun that we have here at Field Inclusive, but also, again, just kind of wanting you all to kind of see what we are all about this evening. There will be a 5-minute break that we will take, and then for the last minutes there, from 8:05 until 9, or if we end a little bit earlier, that's completely fine. We'll open it all up to you and kind of just have a conversation. If there's questions that you all want to ask us, that will be there. So please feel free. There also will be a chance. So there should be a post survey at the end of this. So once it ends and you all log off, there should be a survey that comes up that asks you if you would like to volunteer. And there's some various volunteer opportunities that are listed, as well as to ask you if you would like to join our mailing list, which on that we send out a monthly newsletter every month, and within that we cover various things that's happening within Field Inclusive, and then we also put in there some, again, like some outreach opportunities, some internships, and various things like that. So that is what will be in there. Oh, Dean Floyd. Hi, Dean Floyd.
Hey, hello. Sorry I'm late.
I love this. All right, so without further ado, we'll go ahead and jump right into it. So I'm going to be taking the first section. Then my other co-founder and our CEO will take the second one. And then our assistant, Kayla, and then our intern, Reagan, will end us off here in this first section. So again, I want to kind of start off with why... Thank you. Again, I want to start this off with talking about just what we mean by inclusive, why be inclusive, and why inclusivity is important, right? So I love this quote here from Brian Hancock. So this is from a podcast called The Elusive Inclusive Workplace. And so basically there you can read it, but within that quote, you see here that there's, various things within it. So we're talking about diversity, equity, inclusion, and then we ask these various questions. So what's the environment like for women, for people of color? Are we creating the right communities and supporting, mechanisms, having open conversations about what it takes to succeed within these spaces? So I feel like that's something that we're all getting better at when we're talking about diversity and inclusivity, right? Way back when, and well, actually still is, in some realms, it's kind of still hard or maybe a little bit awkward to talk about what's happened, with history and everything. But in order to understand and move forward, we have to talk about that and have these conversations, because that will ultimately lead us to make these changes. So all those factors together, as it says in this quote, help us to advance in this space. And so again, we know that there are gaps still to this day. All right, so I'll go ahead and get into it. Overview of minorities and the outdoors that I will touch on here. So again, this is just kind of going into this history of why initiatives and organizations like Field Inclusive are important, right? So I pulled these three words because I feel like they speak most to what we mean by inclusivity, and kind of just taking a step back and looking at where these various, stereotypes are coming from when we're talking about minorities in the outdoors, right? Minorities in STEM, these various words. So we have disproportionate, we have stereotypes, and then we also have privilege, right? So again, looking at these, there's this stereotype that people of color, we don't like the outdoors, and that's why you don't see us there, right? People of color are 3 times more likely than white people to live in places that have no immediate access to nature. And then we have privilege, which is from Dean Floyd himself, which I think sums up, in summary, it sums this all up really well, is that we need to change this narrative that, people of color, we are out here, minorities, historically excluded individuals, we are in these spaces. And there's much room for, agencies and organizations to, make these changes. And I feel like it really starts with organizations like Field Inclusive and similar ones, in order to amplify that message and get that out there. And so again, going back to history, looking at these various things, right? So we have groups like the Civilian Conservation Corps, and we also have the National Park System, right? Within both of these areas, minorities, people of color, we have been excluded within these areas, right? And so then also taking that into consideration, this is an example that I love to use in order to basically kind of touch on what we mean by maybe a certain group's connection with nature, right? So if any of you know the story of Mount Rushmore, not only was it's, the person that constructed Mount Rushmore, he was apparently associated, a member of the Ku Klux Klan, but Mount Rushmore was also built on, indigenous land. So indigenous people were casted out of their land in order to build Mount Rushmore. So it's moments like these and it's history like this that we have to talk about and we have to consider, and just really, take a step back and just consider all of these different perspectives when we look at various groups and their connections with nature and the outdoors itself. And then not only that, we have to consider some famous figures in this space, right, that we might talk about. So we have John Muir, so he is connected with the national parks. Gifford Pinchot, he was a part of the U.S. Forest Service, and Madison Grant was a well-known wildlife biologist, right? So looking at these 3 figures, all 3 of these people who you may have heard their names somewhere, have been praised for their works, but they've also had racist connections and racist thoughts, whether that be about indigenous peoples, whether that be about if you are not of white descent, you don't belong in this, area within this park, on this land. And so again, understanding, famous figures in history and really what they thought, about these various groups of people in the outdoors, right? Looking at, again, making that connection to, maybe thinking back to like why certain groups may feel, excluded or hesitant to go out into these spaces, and just taking that all into consideration there. Okay, so that was that first section. Give you a brief history lesson overview, just to get you, again, thinking about history and why these certain, stereotypes are about, why it is important to, think about these various groups in the outdoors, and why it's important to continue to promote their safety and their well-being and everything like that. So I will pass it off to Murray. So Murray, you should, if you want me to, you can feel free to tell me to advance, so that way you don't have to mess with anything, but it's all yours.
Right, thank you. And can everyone in the room in person hear me?
Okay, 1 second. Now say something.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Hold on 1 second. It's all the way up. Okay, now try it.
Hey, can you hear me?
You were coming out of my laptop, but not out of the speaker. Oh, wait, right here, right here, right here. Sure.
Twisting it around you.
Okay.
Wanna say something else?
Okay, say something now.
Okay, testing.
There you go. Okay, we're good.
Awesome.
All
So
right. You're
Thank
good.
So, hey everybody, as Lauren said, I am Murry Burgess, the CEO and co-founder of Field Inclusive. I am also currently at Mississippi State University as an assistant professor there. So that is why I am remote, and we'll get into later some of the remote and local experiences that we'll start to build. But for now, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about some of the spark behind Field Inclusive and the reason that we decided to create this nonprofit. So you can advance, Lauren. So as wildlife biologists, environmentalists, professionals in this field, we often get told to, look out for physical field safety things of when we start to go outside and collect data. You have things like, watch out for poison ivy, watch out for snakes and ticks and dangerous animals. When you're out walking, look out for stump holes. Make sure you always have a first aid kit or like your cell phone charger, GPS, everything you need to be safe and navigate the outdoors. And this was really emphasized, especially in my graduate program. But there was a piece that I couldn't help feel that was a little bit missing. And that is what we at Field Inclusive have dubbed social field safety. And so social field safety is just this idea that it's not always going to be the physical environment that could potentially pose a threat to people working outdoors. Social field safety describes when professional field workers who might have a minority or excluded personal identity experience targeting and discrimination when they are in the outdoors. And this is not only for professionals, recreational people as well have experienced some unfortunate encounters with other people when they're outside. And so when we say at-risk individuals, we are including any of the following identities of minority races and ethnicities, minority sexual orientations and gender identities, disability, religion, and just anyone who has some type of visible marker that other people might assume makes them look like they don't belong in the outdoors. They get a little bit suspicious and think that they shouldn't be there and that they're not working. And so when these people encounter unfamiliar communities in fieldwork, they might be placed in an uncomfortable or a potentially dangerous situation that might prevent them from actually accomplishing the work that they set out to do. And so social field safety is an important component just as much as physical field safety for being able to get the work done that you need to do. So with that, I was going to go over some common scenarios and safety issues that people might encounter. So you kind of have issues with individual people arising from distrust, people who think you're trespassing or just general bias and miscommunication, such as negative encounters with the police and other law enforcement individuals, negative encounters with property owners in the local community, especially if you are working in and around private lands. Also, unfortunately, negative encounters from your own institution, whether that be team members or supervisors who just don't understand what you might be going through. And some of these issues kind of come up in the form of racial discrimination or xenophobia, gender and sexual identity discrimination, religious discrimination, and disability or body shape discrimination, often in the form of like lack of access to these opportunities. And these might not always be things that are intentional. In fact, I think a lot of these are unintentional from people who just assume that because their experience was fine and they're able to do these things, they don't even have to think about what someone else who is labeled other by society might be having to go through. And so that is why we have started to advocate for some of these common scenarios and safety issues. And the next slide has some examples of what we're talking about. So this is from a paper, Murry and Pipkin 2020. Highly encourage everyone to go check that paper out if you haven't already. But basically, this is kind of laying out the foundation of safety issues that might be encountered. So in the top left, you have a Black ornithologist being approached by law enforcement. She's thinking in her thought bubble, I hope I survive this, because since 2020, but throughout pretty much the whole history of this country, police has disproportionately targeted minority individuals, and they are more likely to end up in jail or harmed or killed by law enforcement. Lauren and I have a friend who said she was out with her binoculars looking, doing bird point counts, and the police were called on her because they thought she was out with her binoculars to case the houses to come back and rob. So that's one scenario of like just this bias based on race. And then you continue with a Sikh entomologist who experiences a hateful landscape because of this visual marker of his religion. You might have a bisexual ichthyologist being accosted by hate speech by just members of the public while he's out trying to sample, just do his work, not bothering anybody. You also might have a situation where a deaf botanist is verbally accosted due to her disability. And some of these things are not always things you can see outwardly, like you probably won't know somebody is deaf just by looking at them, but it is still considered a huge social field safety concern, because if a situation were to happen such as this, where they are confronted or anything else were to happen and they can't hear what's going on, that is another safety concern that should be addressed and prevented when possible. And so when Field Inclusive first started, we came up with a list of general safety tips and solutions, especially for individuals who are out as kind of like this immediate, okay, nobody's getting any training on this. A lot of institutions currently lack field safety policies, field safety equipment. So it's often up to the individual field worker to advocate for themselves and address the issues however they can. So what we started with was building a list of emergency contacts and make sure somebody has your emergency contacts and knows when you're in the field, when you've made it home safely. The second is, along with those contacts, create an entire safety plan to share with your team or your supervisor. A safety plan just including those emergencies, some maybe local areas that you can go that are safe, where the local hospitals are, or who you might need to communicate with in order to solve an issue. Another thing that we advocate for is vetting the field site that you will be going to beforehand, which includes both the field site where you'll be working and the site where you will be housed in or lodging, if those are two different locations. And also alerting the neighbors and local law enforcement that there is a research project going on here. And you might see somebody by themselves carrying binoculars or strange equipment or something that might look out of the ordinary, but informing people that like, hey, this is what this research project is, this is what I'm using the tools for, and kind of diffuse a situation before it starts by informing the community about the research going on there. Another thing is to wear field safety gear, something that identifies you as a researcher who is affiliated with the institution. Those are the examples on the right-hand side of the screen. Field safety gear can be any university branded item that you can wear on your body or put on your clothes, on your car or on your equipment. Anything that kind of like identifies you from afar as a person who is working in an official capacity. And then the last one, of course, we do recommend to carry non-lethal self-defense tools like pepper spray, taser, keychain weapons. When I was doing graduate field work, I would usually bring my dog to the field just as a precaution. And although we advocate for these things on a personal level, the kind of next step that Field Inclusive started to take was getting institutions on board to incorporate these policies and not put the onus on the student to have to advocate for themselves, but rather creating the structure both through policy and financial backing to create these tools that people need in order to do their jobs, in order to be safe. And so with that, I will turn it over to Kayla, who will talk about our mission, vision, and goals, and how we have built off of that background to where we are now.
All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Kayla Stukes, and I am an executive assistant with Field Inclusive. I'm also a first-year PhD student at NC State and the College of Natural Resources. All right, so now that we've talked a little bit about the history of minorities in the outdoors and gotten some perspective on safety, field safety in the field, we'll talk about Field Inclusive missions, visions, and goals. Okay. All right, and so Field Inclusive's mission is Field Inclusive strives to provide tangible and actionable improvements in the natural resources by addressing field safety issues related to justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion. We seek to support all field biologists and the natural sciences through identifying and addressing field safety issues, developing field safety resources, and supporting marginalized researchers through financial aid and experiential learning opportunities. All right. And we envision a world in which the outdoors feels safe and welcoming, regardless of personal identity, including race, ethnicity, gender identity, sexual orientation, ability, or religion. We believe all field researchers deserve and have a right to the tools necessary for success in their professional work. All right, so here's a list of some of our goals. So our first goal, center and amplify voices, visibility, and experiences of marginalized field researchers. Goal number 2 is prioritize social field safety for all field researchers, both individually and institutionally. Goal 3, provide a social field safety training course. Goal 4, support marginalized field researchers with scholarships for research-related experiences and expenses. Goal 5, work toward making the natural sciences more accessible and inclusive for people with physical disabilities and chronic illnesses. Goal 6, provide and organize safe training and experiential field opportunities for marginalized field researchers, both current and prospective. And lastly, Goal 7, to work toward proper financial compensation for field work. So with that being said, I will turn it over to Lauren and Reagan for programs outreach and support.
All right. Hey, everybody. I'm Reagan. I use she, they pronouns. I am an intern for Field Inclusive, and I also work full-time with the North Carolina Conservation Network as an organizer. And so, as Kayla mentioned, we have a variety of goals. And so this is kind of how we actualize them. And we have a lot of really cool opportunities that I am excited to be a part of, and I'm excited that we're able to do. So something that we just wrapped up last month was our second annual Field Inclusive Week, which is a variety of webinars and activities. We went on a bird walk and learned a lot about a variety of topics, such as being femme in the natural resources field or being disabled in the natural resources field. We also got to hear from some of our award winners and grant recipients, which is really exciting. We also celebrate our anniversary every year, which is really exciting, especially as a new nonprofit. It's great to be able to do so. And another thing that we just wrapped up a couple months ago was the second iteration of the Beginning Birders program. We've worked with 2 different organizations for that. Our first one was with Outdoor Afro, and our second was with the LGBT Center of Raleigh. Of course, with emphasis on folks that identify as LGBTQ+, and the first being those that identify as Black. It's really exciting to teach people the basics of birding and how to get them out in the field in a safe and exciting way. And we're looking forward to hosting a variety of other events in the near future that are similar and branching out from that. Another kind of way that we support biologists and professionals in the natural resources field is through awards and fellowships, like Kayla mentioned. We do a variety of research grants and awards, and you can find that full list on our website as well as details about the rest of our programs. We have just started a field gear closet where we accept donations of field clothing and field supplies, and distribute those who are in need. We also have inclusive resources for organizations and institutions, such as our partners, which is a long list, which is really exciting. Some that really stand out are the Nature Conservancy, the Whig Audubon Society, which helps us with our Beginning Birders program, amongst other things. Like I mentioned, Outdoor Afro and LGBT Center of Raleigh have helped us, and we have hosted the Beginning Birders program at Walnut Creek. The full list, of course, you can read, but it is really exciting to work with such a large variety of supporters and sponsors, and we're looking forward to expanding this list too. And do you want to add anything?
No, I think you hit it right on the money. Yeah, no, I think you hit it right on the money. But yeah, so this is Lauren again. So as Reagan said, no, she gave a great overview of just the programs and the, and the support that we offer to marginalized, historically excluded individuals. So especially, again, so our field gear closet is one thing. So we accept donations of any kinds of like field gear. So whether that be things like work gloves or work boots or various items like that. And we have those for people who are in need, because gear is one thing that can be very, expensive and inaccessible to some people. So we want to break that barrier. And that's a reason, or this is a way for us to do that. But our memberships and our donations support all of these programs, and the support that we do from our awards and our fellowships. So again, your memberships and donations are supporting things like our field gear closet, our Beginning Birders program, Field Inclusive Week, so we can pay, our speakers, because we are striving for, equity in that realm. Again, partners and sponsors here. So Wake Audubon Society has been a huge partner with us with our Beginning Birders program. The Nature Conservancy as well, they have been the ones to sponsor our Field Inclusive Weeks. So they sponsored both of our Field Inclusive Weeks, our first and our second annual one. And just again, this list goes on and on, but everyone, every organization, every entity up here, they with their support were able to offer those awards and offer those opportunities, and offer those programs and outreach and everything that we are doing, our field gear closet, all of that. So yeah, so this brings us right at time. Well, we're like 2 minutes ahead of schedule, so we'll go.
Hey Lauren, can I
Yes.
add something real quick?
Yeah, go ahead, go for it.
Yeah, so just wanted to point out with those partners and sponsors, some of you online might notice how there's a lot of North Carolina-based things, which is just simply because this was started in North Carolina. But rest assured, we are working on expanding, getting more national partners, and also trying to establish local chapters and local events. So although that isn't happening quite right now, we are working towards doing more in-person things in various different locations as we continue to expand our team. So if you're not currently in North Carolina, please don't worry, you can still be a part of Field Inclusive.
No, that was perfect. So that will actually be a great leadway into our second portion. So we'll go ahead and we'll take just a few minute break, so about 5 minutes, and then we'll join back together around 8:05 and kind of go into a little bit just about Field Inclusive's goals, about where we see ourselves heading in the future, and how you as supporters of Field Inclusive can help us get there. So yeah, but we'll go ahead, take a 5-minute break. So feel free to get up, stretch, use the bathroom, and we'll reconvene at around 8:05. All righty, we're gonna come back together here in a second. All right, so hopefully you enjoyed that 5-minute quick break. Quick break. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Yeah. All right, wonderful. So now for this second half here, we're going to go into a little bit just about, Field Inclusive's goals, our goals for this year, where we see ourselves going, where we see how, supporters like you can help out with the various initiatives that we have going on, and just talk a little bit about that. And then we'll open up the floor for any conversations or questions or discussions. And as well as when we get to that point, I will pop some links in the chat for you all to go and visit. And yeah, so let's take it away here. All right. So again, we touched on a lot, about our initiatives with, here at Field Inclusive, and just various things. And so where we see ourselves going, in the near future, in this year. So having quarterly membership meetings is definitely something that we would love to continue to do. So again, this meeting this evening was open to both members and non-members, because we wanted people to get a chance to come out, hear about Field Inclusive, hear what we're all about, again, ask questions and everything before you committed to being a member. But moving forward, we will have quarter membership only meetings. So members only, only members of our organization, there we go, had to get it out, only members of our organization will be able to join in on those meetings. How those meetings will look, we may have, guest speakers. They may be working meetings where we might do a workshop or two to maybe work through some different social field safety things and try to connect the dots there. So still wanting to, get some ideas on how we're going to do that. So please feel free if you are interested in becoming a member. Again, I'll pop that here in the chat once we get to our little discussion section here. I'll pop that link in the chat for you. Next thing, we have professional development workshops. So this is something that we would like to do in between time of having those quarterly membership meetings. So within these workshops, they may be various things from working on, CVs and cover letters, things like that. Again, this is going to be an opportunity where it will be free to our members. But for this, we will do a fee for non-members. So it'll be $5 for students, $10 for professionals, and volunteers are always needed within this realm. So again, at the end of this, once you log off, you should get a survey. If you don't, please feel free to email us with the volunteer opportunities that you would like to volunteer with, but there should be a survey at the end, hopefully, if Lauren did it right, but we'll see. So there's that. And so again, yeah, always need volunteers for that. If, anyone has any ideas or would like to put together a workshop and kind of spearhead that would be perfect. Our Beginning Birders program, we are always looking for volunteers on the Field Inclusive side because we are a small team. We are always looking for volunteers to come out and help us with that program. So you do not, in my opinion, you do not have to have any expert birder knowledge. It is a welcoming, friendly, laid back, easy environment that anyone can kind of work with and work themselves into. Our team is very welcoming, very laid back. So I don't want you to hesitate if this is something that you would like to consider volunteering for. Do not feel like you need to have excellent expert birder knowledge. All skill levels are welcome there. Our Field Inclusive Week 2025 planning team, volunteers here are always needed. For the past 2 years, Murry and I have been working to put everything together. There is a lot. I will say there is a lot that goes on behind the scenes, from finding speakers, from getting people to commit, to finding dates, to finding topics. All of that, honestly, we start planning that. We have it like the third week in January. We start planning in maybe August or September. That's how early out we do these things for Field Inclusive Week. So volunteers there are always needed there for our planning team as well. Potential partnerships and collaborations. So you saw that list of partners there on that previous slide in the first half. if you feel like there is an opportunity to partner or collaborate with us, I know, you heard Murry talk about, we want to go more, beyond North Carolina. So although the sponsors that you saw, like she said, we're mostly North Carolina sponsors, we want to go beyond that. We want to have more chapters of Field Inclusive. We want to have ambassadors. So, it may take us some time to kind of see what that will look like and put something together, but your interest in that is where it starts. So if you are interested in that, please feel free to contact us, and I'll have our contact info on this last slide there. And then also workshop and roundtable appearances. So our workshops are something that they're really, really fun, but they are really, really a lot to do. So for our workshops, we do social field safety workshops. So we basically, go into more detail about what we mean by social field safety, have our participants do various breakout group sessions and discussions, and, working through various scenarios. And so this year we will be appearing at 5 conferences. So Association of Southeastern Biologists, which is in March, Animal Behavior Society, Wilson Ornithological Society, Cullowhee Native Plant Conference, and American Ornithological Society. So if you will be in or at any of those conferences, look out for our workshop and feel free to come out and take it. Again, we are, there is potential here. It is something that we would have to see what it looks like, because there is training involved to get people up to speed, but we would also be open to anyone who might be interested in being, a facilitator of the workshop. So right now, since, spring, summer field seasons are coming up, we're getting a lot of requests for workshops. And again, we are a small team and basically we don't want to burn out. So it would be nice to have more people who might be interested in us training them on these workshops. So then that way, when people reach out to us and want Field Inclusive to facilitate them, we have more people that we can reach out to and just ask, hey, would you like to facilitate this workshop on this day and time? Going into a little bit of background about that. So we offer two packages for our workshops. Our $500 package plus travel, lodging, and fees is for our in-person workshop. So people pay for Field Inclusive reps to come to them and facilitate. And then $500 flat, so no accommodations included in that, is our virtual workshops. We don't offer hybrid at the moment because we really want to look more at our hybrid options and, kind of want everyone to kind of get the best that they can out of these workshops. So for now, they're either all in person or all virtual. With those fees that we get, there is a potential for our facilitator to take a percentage of that to, to compensate you for your time facilitating the workshop. So there's always that too. All right, Murry, feel free if I missed anything to chime in there.
No, I think you covered it, and I'm in the chat too, adding some stuff.
Okay, wonderful. Oh, were you adding my links?
I
No, wait,
can.
no. Oh, you can't? Okay, wonderful. Can you add the membership link and the mailing list?
Sure.
Thank you. All righty. So while Murry is doing that, we'll open it up now to conversation and questions from people in the room, people on Zoom. That rhymed. People in the room, people on Zoom. We open up the floor to you to ask any questions for us Field Inclusive reps, and just to have a little conversation here. If there's anything you would like to get clarification on, if there's, again, any questions that you have, if there's any ideas that you have about potential programming or outreach opportunities, we are always open to hearing those as well. If it's something that you think about later on ahead of time, again, you will get our contact info on the last slide. Feel free to reach out to us via email. We're very responsive with our emails. So that's another thing. If you figure out something later on that you didn't think of right now, feel free to reach out to us later on. So, all right. I'll go ahead and open up the floor. Any questions, comments, clarification? In the meantime, yes, Murry is popping in the membership link. So if you are not a member already and would like to become one, you can follow that link. There are 4 different membership levels. We have our student level, we have our premier level, which is for marginalized, historically excluded professionals who may not be students. We have our ally plus level, so for allies, and then we have our organization level. So if you're an organization that would like to have a membership to Field Inclusive, that's also there. I will also put out there that that level, it also includes, you know, a sponsorship. So you would also get credit for a sponsorship with Field Inclusive also. Any questions? Don't be shy. You you should be able to unmute. Hi. Okay.
Hi. Okay, so I'm looking at the membership levels, and say I wanted to like pitch this to my organization. So obviously I need to do a little bit more reading on this, but just quickly, so if my organization wanted to opt in and do the 1,000 a year organizational membership, would that provide all staff members access to like the book clubs and the professional development workshops and stuff like that?
I am going to say yes, but Murray, correct me if I'm wrong.
No, everyone who participates in that organizational membership should also receive access to those individual member perks.
Mhm.
Okay, sweet. So anyone in belonging to that organization as a staff person would be therefore like a Field Inclusive member.
Correct.
Yes, yes.
Awesome. Okay.
There's a question in the chat that I'm going to ask out loud.
Okay, for sure.
Is there a difference between the benefits for the student versus premier level memberships? Wondering how someone who could fit into either group might choose which one they want.
So right now there are no benefits between the two. So yeah, there's no benefits right now between the two.
Yeah, the student one is just trying to provide a discount for anyone who might not fit into the premier.
Right.
I have kind of a big-ish question. So I am pretty new to the organization I work for, and it's also bird conservation oriented in the Bay Area. And I specifically work with a fellowship program that's also essentially brand new. And the whole point is to, well, I feel like the mission is very much similar in the sense of inclusion and breaking down these barriers for groups of people who would typically not feel like they can pursue birding as a hobby or as something beyond just a hobby, right? So there's a lot of talks in the background about what instructors for courses or, you know, volunteers who lead birding groups can do to prepare themselves. And I mean that in a more DEI oriented lens, like trainings for how to properly respond to incidents when you're the person in charge and maybe you're someone who's part of the majority. So with that, if we were to hypothetically also get that organizational membership, is there opportunity for some type of education programming to implement for our instructors? With Field Inclusive being the teachers in this scenario?
Hey, I'll answer. Yeah, we do have a train the trainer type of program that we're starting up which includes both for training for those field safety workshops, and then what we currently don't have right now but are working towards is a training for teachers who are in the classroom who might have just like students to instruct, looking for that type of inclusive classroom principles type of things. And we also do, if you are interested, I do have a couple of resources and links towards that exist right now. They are not part of Field Inclusive, but I have some of those resources too if you're looking for that.
Yeah, totally. Any help would be greatly appreciated. And I mean, if there's an opportunity also to include your organization as well, I feel like it'd be beneficial to you too.
Yeah, and we'd be happy to collaborate however we can.
Yeah, awesome. Sure. I'll email you more about this thing.
Mhm.
Awesome.
And Daniela, I'll say too, just to piggyback off of Murray, this opportunity also is like, just like what you brought up, that gives us an idea for like, you know, an idea of what you would want or be looking for within that membership, right? So you're asking about, you know, like opportunities for trainings and, you know, things like that. That's really providing us with, you know, more of an idea of what you all want to see within our organization, which is really, you know, also the purpose of this, you know, section too. So definitely if there is something, you know, here that you feel like we could implement into something, or, you know, just like what you came up with, like that's perfect, because that's what this time is here for too.
Awesome. Thank you.
Of course. Any other questions? Comments, concerns? Yeah, you can ask questions. Yeah.
It's not so much a question, but a comment.
Sure.
I really appreciate the community outreach, doing the beginning Burgess programs, and doing that kind of thing. So, while I do have an academic biology background, have since graduated and am not pursuing things related to that field at the moment professionally. So it's nice to have kind of that amateur outlet, I guess, of it doesn't matter my background, I can still get involved and still do things and volunteer. So I really appreciate programs like Beginning Birders and things like that, where that is sort of the get involved in science through a community lens.
Right.
That I really appreciate those programs and would like to see more.
Right. Okay, for sure. No, we appreciate your comment. Because ultimately, yeah, definitely programs like our Beginning Birders program, it is it's there to create, you know, a safe space within certain communities that we may not see, you know, out birding. And probably with, you know, both of those programs that we've had so far, we have always got, you know, received the comment that people were grateful that that space was there and that they got to learn something new with their people and not feel uncomfortable, you know, and not feel like they, you know, would be questioned or not safe while in the outdoors. So definitely, so in the room, definitely some more community engagement and outreach from Field Inclusive, which we are looking at working on implementing some more of those. And you also brought up a good point about not having to be an expert in birding, which also reminded me. I will also mention too that you might have also noticed that the majority of our partners and our collaborators are bird oriented. And I want to assure you that we are field inclusive and we accept partnerships and collaborations and, you know, sponsorships from all fields. It just works, and it just so happens that Murray and I both are in the bird world. So it's, you know, easier for us to kind of connect with bird people. But that does not mean that we do not want, you know, partnerships and collaborations with other fields, because that's definitely what we would like to see more of, because we definitely want that image out there and we don't want people to feel like, oh, like I just see bird stuff, so if I don't do bird stuff, then I can't be a part of Field Inclusive. Like that's not the case. So I definitely wanted to put that tidbit out there. So thank you for the reminder. Any other questions or comments? on Zoom? Anyone in the room? Okay, y'all are a quiet bunch.
I feel like normally I'm not quiet, but I'm stuck looking at all the awesome resources on the website. So I'm
Oh, is
trying
that
to-
what you're doing?
Oh,
Okay,
I'm
all
trying
right.
to
Well,
do
that
it at
counts.
the same time, so.
That counts.
You guys are like telling me about all these cool things and I'm trying to look at them. So I promise I'll have more questions in a minute.
No, you're good. No, that counts. Doing your homework. I love it.
Well, that's one about you. One of your goals, goal 7, is work towards proper financial compensation for field work.
Yeah.
Any initiatives underway to advance that?
So what we would like to do, so there is one initiative that kind of encompasses, I think that, but with also in just financial situations in general. So we definitely would like to establish some kind of emergency fund within our organization. We have had a few instances where people have come to us and basically, have said like, hey, I haven't been, treated fairly in this space, or, hey, I'm in this and because I haven't been treated fairly, I'm in this like, financial, crunch of like needing to, one of our instances, without saying too much, they needed to complete, a course in order to get out and gain their credits. But the people that were, head of the course, they weren't comfortable with, and they had been giving them all these negative vibes, basically, and just all of this microaggressions and everything like that. So, really having opportunities like that. So definitely an emergency fund to help individuals out who may be in need. That's definitely something that we would like to work towards. And that's also something that you can donate to in our drop-down menu of our PayPal. So if you go to PayPal and you go to donate, there are various drop-down menus that give you the options on where your money goes. I know I'm one of those people that like to see where my money goes. So that's definitely there. So you can donate to various programs and initiatives within Field Inclusive through our PayPal. But definitely that is definitely one thing, our emergency fund. The other thing is, offering those opportunities like our awards. So like our fellowships, we have them right now at $5,000. That is to cover a person who, like if they need to relocate for, a certain duration of time, their, so their housing, their food, we're, wanting that to be, there for those people, because there are still internships and opportunities out in the world that don't pay at all. And they still, suggest that you're gaining experience. So it, it shouldn't matter about getting paid. And we're like, no, I got to pay my bills. So, and everything like that, I have to eat. So definitely when we're looking at, making opportunities, like our fellowships, that is also another thing, because we definitely want the person who, is gaining that experience to also be able and feel comfortable with, going for that experience and having enough money to do so. So definitely within those areas, again, our awards that we offer, our sponsorships, they are all through partnerships and collaborations. Sometimes they are through donations from an individual that will donate that amount of money to go towards that certain award. So that is, another thing to keep in mind. Yes, so if you go, or Murray might can pop it in the chat. All of our Field Inclusive Week resources are online. They are there for you to view and use. Please use them. Please like talk about them within your organizations. They are there for that purpose. We cover, again, various things like disabilities, accessibility, field safety, everything like that. And they're super beneficial. We have, knowledgeable speakers that come out and talk about those things for us and make that week a success. So that's definitely there. Where'd my chat go? Oh, wait. Okay, here we go. Hey, Murray, are you able to pop that link in the chat?
Yep, I got it. Sorry,
Okay.
my computer chose now.
Okay,
to
no, you're good. You're good. You're good. You're good. Out of curiosity, is anyone located? No. So right now, as of now, there is no one located in any other state for Field Inclusive. So again, keep in mind, we're only over a year old, so a little bit over a year. So all of these things that we have been discussing tonight, we're continuing to, want to work towards expanding, increasing our reach. So definitely, if you have ideas or, have an idea about being an ambassador or starting something within Virginia, please let us know, because that is our ultimate goal. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we also have our YouTube channel. All of the Field Inclusive talks are also on our YouTube channel, so please subscribe. Like and subscribe.
And ring the bell for notifications.
Yeah, ring the bell for the Although you probably won't get one until like next January, but like. Yeah, we'll find some more things to do. Yeah, you're right. You're right. That's true.
I'm seeing the comment about we'll be moving to West Virginia later this year for field work. It'd be nice to have some like community building spaces. So I went to the Beginning Bird program that was sponsored by the LGBT Center of Raleigh. And I found that really awesome to be able to connect with people. Sort of the overarching thing of like being with your people, connecting with this really awesome hobby, science and all that cool stuff. It'd be nice to have like some sort of like similar social engagements with community. I mean, like the Beginning Bird program was awesome. But similar things like that about community building and like networking or something like that, some sort of semi-regular connection space.
For sure. For sure.
Whether that's for professionals, whether that's for birding enthusiasts. I know there are other groups like that out there as well. But it'd be cool to kind of have those spaces for people who are like maybe moving because of field work or have experiences in a certain area. It'd be nice to kind of have either like a virtual meetup kind of thing, like over Zoom, or like a discussion board or something like that, or having actual meetups like in physical spaces, sort of like the Field Inclusive meeting tonight, which is cool. That's sort of having those resources available for people who are moving or starting new jobs or trying to find connections. If there are the resources available within Field Inclusive to support that, I think that could be a cool idea to sort of follow.
Well, it's something that I think that we're gonna try to achieve through our like membership meetings and our
Definitely.
workshops coming up in the next year.
So. And then, so for example, too, the event that we did for Field Inclusive Week, that was our first in-person event, which was our, birding outing that we did. That would be nice to like have like someone in another state do that for Field Inclusive Week, for people that are in that area. Because again, it was in Raleigh, because that's where we're based, that's where we're located. So people who were in and near Raleigh could come out, but it would be nice to have that option definitely, and other options as well for people who are in different states. This also goes for these questions in the chat about asking, about ambassadors and chapters. Same thing. So please, if you're interested in this, reach out to us. I did have an ending slide, but I'll just type it here in the chat. So yeah, that is our email. Please feel free to reach out to us with any ideas that you have. But keep in mind too that your interest is like where this starts. It may take us a little bit of time to kind of think about, what we're envisioning this to look like, or how this, will go. But it's definitely something that we would like to do, but we just need to know that people are interested in it. And it seems like you all are, so that's great. Any other questions? We can totally, end a few minutes early, but did just again want to give room for any questions, conversations. It doesn't even have to be questions. It can be comments, anything like that.
Asking about how to be state ambassadors.
Right. So definitely, yeah, email us about that. And we can provide you with more information, because it's definitely something that, we kind of have to talk with our board about and try to see how, you know, that process can go. Because we know other organizations do it. We would love to do it. So definitely, again, knowing your interest is great because it lets us know that you're interested in it, and then we can get to work on planning something like that.
So if a university student wanted to appeal to their university or an employee to their employer around the issues of social field safety, do you offer a kit of any type, or is that relevant to your workshops and having the conversation through a workshop? How would you advise somebody that wanted to take a first step?
Yeah, it could be very well. I can see it as, you know, just overall using field inclusive as an example, using so like all of those, all of the field safety gear that Murry had mentioned in her part, all of those like templates and websites where you create all of that, we have that all on our website for people to reference. And I think just really, you know, bringing it forward with someone, you know, in your department, and just, I mean, if you want, I mean, use field inclusive as an example, really just like show people, you know, the work that we're doing, why it's important. Use NC State as an example. Like NC State, you know, partnered with us to make the field safety gear. And it's been helping a lot of students. So, you know, that's something, if I feel like if people see that, you know, there was an idea and something is working, then that's kind of your, you know, your push forward. But, you know, of course, it's also another thing too, if you get some pushback, then it's like, okay, well, it might be something that you have to work with. It may not happen overnight, but you can definitely try. Murry, did you have anything to add to that?
No, I think that's a really good thought. And just to encourage, you know, some people are not going to be very receptive to these new ideas and to changing policies. So definitely just keep trying. If the first person says no, find somebody else in charge and try to direct them to some positive examples, because people love data as well. And we have some evidence now that this stuff works and is possible to do.
Mm-hmm. And then even also, which that brought up a good point when you were talking about the workshop. So we do in our workshops, the goal is to make that connection with, you know, the various things that you can do within your own research or your own research protocol with your researchers, and kind of consider those things. So even if your university as a whole or your college as a whole may not be doing it, you certainly can. So take those, you know, tips, you know, as you will, and try to incorporate those into your research plan or for your, you know, employees of your organization. And, you know, that can be a first step right there also. So although your college as a whole may not make the change, you certainly can within your research and your protocols. All right. Last call. Any questions? Any other questions? Again, I popped our email in the chat there. Please feel free to shoot us an email. This presentation was recorded. So we will pass it off to everyone who registered, even if they weren't here this evening. We will pass it off to, the people that registered, and we will also pass off a PDF of our slideshow with all of those details in there so that you will have that as well. Our contact info, again, I didn't show it because I stopped sharing my screen, but it is on the last slide. So you will have that as well. You have our website, www.fieldinclusive.org. Feel free to browse around there. And again, feel free to come with any okay. Yes, go ahead.
Hi, I was just curious. So I missed the first book club meeting, but will members be notified of everyone despite whether or not they made the past ones?
Yes. So the next one is this Friday. It's already posted on social media. So follow us on Instagram and Twitter if you haven't already, but I did forget to put it in the Slack as well. So I will put that notification in the Slack channel. And of course, feel free to join whichever ones you can, even if you miss one. Where we had a fun time just like having a conversation and discussing a whole bunch of different things. So definitely
Yay.
join whenever you can.
I don't think I'm part of the Slack channel yet. How do I get on that?
So are you a member?
Yeah, I signed up like last week or the week before.
Okay, well, I'll make sure to add you in the Slack channel. So you,
Okay.
you brought up a really great point too, another point that, I'd like to mention. So for our memberships, member benefits, you get to join a Slack channel. So that is a group of field inclusive members. We, post there any kinds of, you will know firsthand about any opportunities that we might be, emailed, whether that be internships or, fellowships, various things like that, job postings. You will know ahead of time before we put it in our monthly newsletter. You will also get a chance to know about upcoming events. So like the book club will post reminders in that Slack channel. For this meeting, we posted a reminder in the Slack channel. Other benefits, so for students who are applying to our awards, it is something new we're going to implement next year where you have to be a member to apply for our awards. So keep that in mind if you want to apply for any of our research, fellowship, or travel awards. And then again, any kind of member webinars or virtual events that we offer. So those professional development workshops that we're going to start offering, our member only meetings, which we're going to start with being quarterly. Those will also be open to members as well. So definitely all those benefits. So it goes back to Brooklyn's question there earlier. Every level on there has those same benefits as of now. But the only different one is that organizational membership, who also gets credit as, a sponsor, because that is a sponsor level that we have listed on our website. So. Great questions. All right. I'll open it up one last time for any other questions, comments, or concerns. Otherwise, we can definitely end early. Again, you will get the link to the recording, and you will also get the link to the PowerPoint slides for later and for your viewing. Thank you so much. All right. Any other comments from the people in the room? All right, sounds good. Well, we'll end a few minutes early. You all have a great evening. Please feel free to reach out to us with any ideas or anything that you may have mentioned in the chat. Thank you so much. Have a good evening, all.